Hey guys, it's Jay Morrison, and I'm here for some couch conversations with the CEO and founder of Valuetainment, Patrick Bet-David.
Couch conversation, I like that, man.
Yeah, I just made that up on the fly. I just made that up.
Good.
But we're just here, two guys kicking it, talking about entrepreneurship, wealth building, talking about adversity, talking about maybe a little bit of politics, just having, again, some casual conversations, just getting into the two guys that made it from different walks of life who've beat adversity. And I want to interview Patrick a little bit and pick his brain and get some tips and tricks from him on what he's done to become successful and how he sees the world. And he'll do a little bit out of me, and so we just want to kick it a little bit.
Let's do it.
All right, so Pat, first and foremost, could you just tell our audience and everyone just about you? Give me a short elevator pitch about the Patrick Bet-David story.
Yeah, so born and raised in Iran. I was born during the revolution time, at the peak of it when the Shah fell. Lived there 10 years. 6 weeks after Khomeini died, I escaped Iran, go to Germany. Lived at a refugee camp for 2 years. Leave Germany, November 28th, come to the States. And went to school. Right after school, I joined the Army. I was at the 101st Airborne Division Air Assault for a couple of years. And then got out, wanted to be a bodybuilder. I was going to be the next Middle Eastern Arnold Schwarzenegger is what I wanted to do. I was going to go and be a governor, Hollywood star, all these other things. And I met a girl in Venice Beach who was making very, very good money. She'd pick me up in a different car every time. And finally I said, how do you make your money?
Right.
And she said she worked at Morgan Stanley Dean Witter. I said, how do I work over there myself? She said, you need a 4-year degree. She had graduated from UCLA. And I said, I'm not getting a 4-year degree. I just have no tolerance to go to school for 4 years. She says, well, they're not going to hire you.
Right.
So finally, I sent in my resume to 100 different financial firms. And with a joke on my cover letter, my best joke I had at the time, and on the bottom of the joke, I said, if you're laughing, this is exactly how my clients are going to feel when they do business with me. If you want somebody like this part of your company, give me a call. I got 30 calls. 15 of them were just, thinking the approach was funny. 15 gave me an interview, went for an interview. I got 3 job offers. One was Morgan Stanley Dean Witter, Beverly Hills and Glendale, and I took the job, got started day before 9/11. Ended up getting my Series 7, 66, 31, 26. Left, went to Transamerica for 7.5 years.
How old were you then?
21 when I started with Morgan. Yeah, just
Okay.
gotten out of the Army. And then after Trans, I started a PHP agency, October of 2009, with 66 agents out of Northridge, California. And today we're over 5,000 agents in 49 states.
Wow.
And this entire time, accidentally, I want to say November of 2012, started making some videos on YouTube and kind of dabbling. And then that was a slow start for the first 3 years. I think first 3 years we had like 10,000 subscribers, some number like that. And then all of a sudden it spiked to 450,000 subs and 200 million minutes. So it's been a wild ride.
Right, nice. So I want to go back in the story, right?
Yeah,
One thing intrigued me, popped in my head. You said you spent 2 years in a refugee camp.
I did, yes.
So what was how old were you then?
10 or 12.
10 or 12 years old. And so what was going through your mind then? Were you still optimistic about life? Were you looking like, hey man?
No.
Yeah, tell me about that.
Not at all. I was definitely not optimistic because the only time I was optimistic, when we left Iran, I felt I had a chance, okay? But Germany is famous for discrimination at the time where I lived, especially where I lived, because many of the refugees didn't have a good reputation in Erlangen, Nuremberg. You'd hear stories about stabbing at the pool and all this other stuff. And so you have to always, be careful. My dad wasn't there. My parents got a divorce. I'm a 10-year-old, 12-year-old kid. My sister, 6 years old older than me. I'm kind of trying to figure out, no one's dropping you off at school and picking you up. You're always walking home for a long time. No, a very, very high level of skepticism in Germany. And so in the refugee camp I lived at, there was people from Albania, Czechoslovakia, Yugoslavia. I mean, all these places that escaped communism.
Right.
And they wanted freedom with the hopes of one day coming to America or, Germany giving them citizenship. And so, no, definitely didn't feel optimistic about life at that time.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And so you still made your way, your family, I guess, right, made your way over to the States. And you landed in California? Was that your first?
Yeah, I did.
Your first stop?
Yep.
All right. And so you went to high school in California?
I did, Glendale High School.
Okay. And so now in California, what was your mindset then, the young Patrick? going out of high school, what were you thinking, coming from where you came from?
So it was quite interesting because you're going from speaking Farsi in Iran. My mother's Armenian, so I speak Armenian. My dad's Assyrian, so I speak Assyrian. Then I go to Germany and I have to learn how to speak German. And then I come to the States and then I have to speak English. And so that phase of learning another, language was interesting to go through. And then, listen, you're just trying to be cool at that time.
Right.
I'm trying to make friends, man.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody was calling you a phobe. I don't know if you remember what that was called, fresh off the boat.
Right.
This guy's literally from Iran, and I didn't know how to pronounce the word government. It was government, or Wednesday, or, Gilligan's Island, Island. You just couldn't pronounce some of these words.
Right.
So everybody would, would laugh and say, man, that's not how you pronounce it. And, I had an easy time with math because in the Middle East, math is very, very advanced. Math is very advanced, so math was easy to me. Everything else was pretty complicated to trying to kind of figure out. But yeah, it was interesting times.
Gotcha. And so from there, from school, you then went to the Army, Armed Services.
I did.
Air Force, right?
I did. I went to the U.S. Army.
What prompted that decision? What made you say, I want to?
So very simple. I mean, I was working at Burger King, nothing promising there. I was not going to a single class. I was ditching every class, playing cards or hanging out with my friends. And then one day, we're at my sister's place. It's 4 o'clock in the morning. I'm in the jacuzzi at this apartment complex with a bunch of my friends. We are hammered. I mean, I can't even tell you. Bottles everywhere. And it's not like it's a private community. It's a, apartment complex. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So we're being loud and my sister's about to get evicted. I go to sleep. I wake up with the biggest headache. And that morning, somebody stole my '83 Toyota Corolla that my mother had given me before she went back to Iran. So I go downstairs to get in the car and go to Glendale College and go to Burger King in Glendale, and the car's not there. So now I thought, I was drunk. Maybe I kind of parked a different place. I started walking all over the place. I'm like, I got to find this car here. No, it's stolen. I call the cops. Cops come. We make a police report. A year later, when I'm in the Army, we found that the car was in Tijuana. We found the car.
Wow.
But it was in TJ. Pretty interesting story when we get the report back. So I come upstairs and I say, man, what am I doing with my life? Nothing was going right for me at the time. A guy at 14 years old tried to recruit me to the Army. His name was Jesus Guerra.
Okay? At 14 years old?
At 14 years old.
Okay.
He tried to recruit me to, obviously, they start recruiting early, and then they can get you in at 17, but they start at 14.
Okay.
So there's a big follow-up on their selling approach. And so anyways, I called him up. I said, look, I'm interested. I'd like to go. I called my dad. I said, I need a ride. He dropped me off to the Glendale place. I said, I'll join the Army today if I can go in the next 2 weeks. Recruits me, and 2 weeks later, I'm in South Carolina.
Wow. So you were looking for a life change. Like things weren't, you were going down a dead-end path.
Terrible, terrible route. Nothing about me was going in the right direction. Nothing. Not a single thing was going in the direction that I would say, this cat's going to do something with his life.
Did you have a plan for yourself?
No, zero. No plan.
Just out here?
No plan. I was rebellious. My mother went back to Iran. My dad just had a terrible heart attack. He says, you want to live with me, you have to live by my rules. I said, I can't live with you because you'll die if I live with you. I'm not going to live by your rules. It's not going to happen. So I went into the Army, and that was my only savior. And when I went into the Army, by the third day, we had one of the biggest fights at the unit in the laundry room. I was one of them. And it was horrible. Blood all over the place. One of those terrible fights. And not everybody, most people that join the military, these are not kids that are, on their way of doing something big. It's kind of like plan C.
Right.
You hope to go to college, and then if you don't, you hope to have a regular job. If you don't, go join the military. I joined the military. And we got into this fight, and drill sergeant pulls me aside, and he sits me down. It's 3 of them, and they say, listen, we don't think military is a place for you because you're going to have a hard time with authority. We're going to let you go back, and we're going to give you less than honorable. We're not going to give you dishonorable. We're going to give you less than honorable. I've never even told this story before. We're going to give you less than honorable.
See, right here on Couch Talk.
I've never told this story before. Have you ever heard me tell this story? I've never told this story before. So they offer me less than honorable to go home. And what they offered me, it was so tempting. They said, that phone that no one can touch, you can call whoever you want today. go in the room, phone is on us. And back then, phone is like,
Everything.
you're a millionaire, right? So I said, no way to call anybody. So guess what I start calling? Start calling all the, friends back in LA, and, oh, you should come out, dude. We were at this club. Everyone's asking, what are you doing? You should have never joined in the first place. And I'm like, dude, I'm getting out. So I go back to the barracks, and they say, after tomorrow morning to give us an answer. And I go to my bunk buddy. His name was Wiggins. Never forget him. We're friends on Facebook. 20 years later, we found each other on Facebook, Wiggins. And he's a troubled kid, Houston guy. He's straightened up his life as well. And we're sitting there, we're listening to Blackstreet, Don't Leave Me Girl, and we're listening to Usher, My Way, and the other one, You Make Me Wanna, because it had just come out.
Right.
And so we liked R&B, we're sitting, we're talking, it's like, yeah, I think we should get out, and what do you think? And then finally, after the conversation, we just said, nope, we're staying in.
Wow.
And we stayed in, and then next thing you know,
what in that conversation prompted the decision that I'm going to stick it out?
Because I knew quitting was going to be a habit, and all my life, it was always taking the easy way out. I said, this is not going to happen. I'm not going to do it right now. And I was not going to face my dad. I didn't like the alternative to go back to my dad and say I quit, and having to face everybody. I'm going home, all the friends are waiting, I'm going to the nightclub, but I don't know what the hell I'm going to do with my life. And so I said, I'm not doing it. I'm sticking it out. So let me tell you, when they found out that I'm staying in, guess what they did?
What?
Double down. Because their goal is now, we're going to make you get out.
Right. We're going to push it.
We're going to make you get out. And I had this drill sergeant. Oh, my gosh. One day, we're all the LA kids, the Chicago kids, the New York kids. Everybody, we think we're these tough guys, right? We're, walking out with our muscles, shirts off. Everybody wants to kind of have this testosterone contest.
Right.
He says, hey, guys, I want to take you guys to a place, 5 of us. And we said, cool, let's go, Drill Sergeant Green. We go out there. He's like 5'9", okay? But the way he speaks, picture a little bit more mellow Denzel, okay?
Okay.
So he takes us to the back 40. Back 40 is where it's just the woods and you don't see anything. He says, okay. He gets out of the Humvee, starts taking off his BDU jacket, puts it down. He says, who wants to go first? And we're like, what do you mean? He says, who wants to go first? And I was like, honestly, drill sergeant. He says, look, today I'm not drill sergeant. I'm Green. Who wants to go first? You guys are tough. You guys are gangsters. You guys are tough guys. You guys are from LA, Chicago, New York. Who wants to go first? So then we start going at it with him. He beat the living crap out of every single one of us.
Wow.
When I tell you beat the living crap, he beat the living crap. So we said, where did you learn how to fight? He says, you don't know I'm jiu-jitsu guy. You don't know I'm 3rd-degree black belt. You have no idea who I am. But you guys think you're tough. You're not tough. I'm going to do this to you every single time if you act like this with me again. We came back. Let me tell you, we were good.
Right.
When he said drop, we didn't even hesitate. And till today, I have a picture with him. When my dad came, I said, Dad, this is the man. My dad and him spoke, and there's a picture of me standing to the right of Green and my dad standing to the other side. And but yeah, we got straightened out in the Army. It was by far the best decision I ever made in my life.
Wow.
By far.
How long did you serve in the Army?
Little less than 3 years, 2.5 years is when I served, yeah.
Cool. It's so funny how, we talked a little before the interview started about my life. I'm listening to you, and I'm just thinking about all these parallels.
Yeah,
right?
because you were what? You said family four. You're the oldest of four.
Oldest of 4.
So tell me a little bit about high school, who you were in high school, and what happened from there.
Yeah. So for me, going into high school, I was like kind of how you said you were like the foreigner, and you're trying to just figure out and make friends.
Yeah.
Well, for me, I was the poor kid. I come from a family of 4, but it was 6 of us in a 2-bedroom apartment. Right, so I was a welfare kid, Section 8 kid. My mom was 17 when she had me. My father was a heroin addict, served over 13 years in prison, was very abusive, emotionally and physically.
And you watched your dad. You watched him go through it.
I watched him go through it, right? I watched him go in and out of rehabs. I watched him abuse my mom. I was abused, right? My siblings. And so when I went into high school, I just had an edge on my shoulder. So part of me was angry. But then being poor, we literally had 2 pair of jeans, 3 shirts, switch them up, that's it. Like school shopping, you get 1 pair of sneakers in September, you get 1 pair of sneakers for Memorial's Day, and that's it, right? And we had the free lunch tickets in school and all that. And so I just wanted to go to school and just be able to get the juice. I didn't want the milk. I wanted to be able to, the dollar for the juice, right? And so for me in school, it was like I wanted to fit in. I wanted to be accepted. I wanted the cool book bag. I wanted when everyone had Timberland boots, I had the fake Tims from Kmart, right? the no-name brand.
Yes.
And so, you know, I just wanted the pretty girl to like me, right? And so freshman year wasn't that. So my oasis was basketball. And I was really good at it, but I broke my hand my freshman year. I had to sit out. Sophomore year came, I got a part-time job over the summer, made a little bit of money for myself for the first time, bought a little herringbone chain from Walmart, right, when it first came out, and, you know, had some clothes, and one of the prettiest girls in school paid attention to me. And so I started feeling myself a little bit, right? I'm kind of coming into my size. I always was tall, had these big ears, big feet, but now I'm growing into all that.
Man.
And, yeah, right,
yeah.
Becoming a man. And so that went well for me my sophomore year. Towards the end of that year, some of my older cousins in my town in Somerville, New Jersey, which was a small town, but it was, I mean, rocked by the crack epidemic. I mean, like, and from my family culture, like my mom sold drugs, my grandfather sold drugs, my aunt sold drugs, my uncle sold drugs, my biological father sold drugs, and most of them did drugs as well. So that was like kitchen table talk for us. Like even
normal.
Yeah, normal. Even like my dad's prison stories, like what he did in prison, when he had a gorilla mask on and robbed the dice game in Newark, New Jersey. Like this was like, we played Parcheesi's at our table and talked about this stuff. And so when I saw cousins of mine who were wearing nice gold chains, they had all the Tommy Hilfiger stuff, all the coolest, latest clothes, but they come from the same poverty I come from. Like, what the hell you guys doing? I'm over here playing basketball still with the free lunch tickets. You guys are treating the whole table to lunch. And so I got introduced to selling weed. And so
how old are you at this time?
15 years old.
Got it.
Started selling weed.
Did mom and dad find out or?
No, didn't find out that time. So fast forward to junior year, things were getting more aggressive and abusive at home, which my dad's more volatile. The poverty's still there. Me and my basketball coach, we clashed, kind of like the drill sergeant you had.
Yeah.
He was like, I believe he cared for me because he helped me get a job. He would have me stay at his house, right? Like older white guy, but he was very authoritative in his love, right, for me. But I was coming from a home where authoritative meant something different. And so I would always lash out. I was very rebellious. I'm skipping class. I hated authority. I hated for anybody to tell me anything because, you know, I just come from a really rough environment.
Are you still with him? Are you still in contact with him till today or no?
No,
you don't speak to the coach today?
No, I don't.
Got it.
We had a big falling out. And so, and also he saw me going down the hip hop, urban crowd, sag your pants kind of way.
What year is this, by the way?
This is 1995.
95. So wait a minute. What year were you born? Are you 79?
80.
You're 80.
Yeah, 80.
Got it. Okay.
Just turned 37 in October. And
October
so my
what?
coach, October 30th.
Okay. I'm October 18th.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
See, Libra? Or
I'm
Scorpio?
a Libra, but
Okay.
you're not. You're a
Yeah,
Scorpio.
Scorpio,
Yeah, I'm a Libra.
Yeah, so too bad for you.
It's the perfect sign in the world, man. It's Libra.
But so I just remember my coach saying, like, you know, I'm hanging around with the guys from my community. He's saying, quit hanging around those guys. And I get what he's trying to do now, but then I didn't get it. To me, then I thought he was trying to make me be white. He's saying, pull your pants up, like basically abandon your culture, abandon those guys who were listening to the hip hop music, abandon the urban crowd, abandon the Timberland boots, abandon all that stuff. Why don't you clean up and dress and look and walk and talk this way?
Wow. Let me ask you, anybody in your circle was telling you that he was trying to make you white or no?
Yeah.
So
all those guys who were
feeding
16,
you,
17 years old, all my older friends in high school.
don't listen to your coach. He doesn't know what he's
listen to that,
talking
man.
about.
Yeah, he don't know what he's talking about. Like he's trying to make you somebody else.
Got it.
Right? And so I got those different influences. But
Now,
these
are they selling as well? Or were those friends selling as
yeah,
well?
a lot of those guys were selling as well.
Got
They
it.
were just, you know, doing whatever they were doing. And so it was kind of like a, you know, just a rebellious thing.
Sure.
Right? And so anyway, going into my junior year, I hated the class. I was really smart, but I just hated the classes. Just went to school with a lot of edge. I ended up dropping out. And not because of school. I actually ended up dropping out because my stepfather and I got in an argument, and he grabbed me, he choked me. And I was a little bigger now than I used to be, and before he could choke me or knock me to the ground, and I just, you know, take it. This time I was done. And so I choked him back. And so we got in a standoff, and my mom said, boy, you're not gonna do that, get out. And she backed him up instead of me, and I left. I left the house and moved out for a few weeks and lived with friends.
How old were you at the time? 16,
I was 16
17?
years old.
Okay.
16 years old, I moved out the house, didn't know where I was going, started staying with friends, was pretty much homeless.
Yeah.
Just living from house to house. And I advanced, one of my cousins was selling crack cocaine, and so I advanced my drug dealing to crack cocaine and started trying to make money for myself to feed myself on the streets.
A little bit bigger margins.
A little bit bigger margins, yep. Bigger
Yep.
profit margins, moved faster,
Yep.
right? So anyway, through that summer, trials and errors of the streets, I didn't want to be kind of like how you said, I didn't want to give up on life. I didn't want to just become a high school dropout. And I had enough wherewithal, like, wait, I don't want to be that guy.
Yep.
So I had to figure out how can I get back into school. So I went back home and they said, well, you can get back into school, but you missed some credits. So in order to graduate on time, you got to go to a summer school and you got to go to a vocational school to get extra credits in this alternative program. And so I did that, went back to school my senior year, but the momentum that I picked up and the skills that I learned in the streets didn't die. And so I started my senior year of high school. At that time, I remember I had $2,000, right? So I went from $1,000.
You're 17 now.
Yeah, 17. Oh, no, I was going on 17.
Okay.
16 years old, going on 17. Mind you, had no money growing up. I mean, $100 was a lot of money.
Yeah.
But I remember my first 1,000. I mean, I probably did backflips in the house. I mean, it was like $1,000.
I
Like,
fully know the feeling.
what the hell?
Yep.
$1,000?
Yep.
Right. So I remember I got to 2,000 in the beginning of my senior year. And by December, I had saved 10,000. And I bailed one of my cousins out of jail, my 19-year-old cousin. I bailed him out of jail, and I made him work for me while I was in school. So I still had my drug operation going. And so my cousin would work the day shift, and then I would go to school during the day, come home at night, and I would work the night shift.
Got it.
And then I went back to start playing basketball, but I was still playing basketball, still selling drugs. And at that point, I got good at it. I was good with numbers. I was good at math and just business skills, and I was very persistent and resilient. And for me, staying up till 2, 3 in the morning or just what I call outworking the work, it was like.
So that's
hey,
when you're making your money.
Making my money.
Where you make your money.
Right.
Yep.
And so I wasn't into flash and jewelry and all those kind of things. I just like saving money. I like seeing the money pile up. And so I made nearly $100,000 my senior year.
In high school.
Yep.
Do your parents at this point know or no?
My stepfather knew. My mom had no idea.
Is that why you got into a fight with him?
No.
So that fight had nothing to do with
nothing to do with that. When he found out I was selling
Got it.
drugs, this is what he said to me. He said, I found out you're hustling now. He said, I'm not going to stop you. He said, if you're going to be selling drugs, you're going to need a gun. And if you're going to need a gun, you need $10,000 in bail. That's why my first goal was $10,000. Because my dad told me that if I'm going to be in the streets, you better have a gun. If you're going to need a gun, you better have bail money.
Wow.
That's what he told me.
So who did you keep the bail money with? Yourself? Well, it's.
So, well, initially myself, and then
You got to have somebody you trust to bail you out.
Yeah, when I went to alternative school, right, I was in the carpentry program. And so the first thing I made in my carpentry class was a wooden safe.
Got it.
And then I outgrew the wooden safe, and then I ended up getting a bigger safe, and then I left some with my girlfriend, some with myself, and then I got, money at different friends' houses, and really was operating a business, but didn't even know I was operating a business.
So what happens next? So you got $100K now. You're a senior in high school. Your stepfather now knows you need a gun. You need $10K to bail you out. You built your safe out of the carpentry class. What's next?
I graduate high school. 2 months later, my biological father, who I hadn't seen in about 10 years, visits New Jersey from Lincoln, Nebraska. And because that's where he moved from New Jersey when I was 3 months old.
Why Nebraska?
That's where he decided to build a life in the family.
So that's not where he went to prison for the.
This is my biological father, not my stepfather.
Who had the heroin issues?
My stepfather.
Oh, your stepfather had the heroin issues.
Yes.
Got it.
My biological father left at 3 months old. And moved to Nebraska.
So you haven't seen him from 3. You've never met him.
I met him when I was 7 and when I was 9 for 1 week each time. That's it. Hadn't seen him since I was 9 years old.
So you're 18. He wants to see you.
17.
17. He wants to see you.
No, he just visits New Jersey and he asked about me when he's there. Right. So one of my customers says, "Hey, your dad wants to see you." I said, "What's he want?" He said he wants 220s. He was getting high, and so he asked like, "Who got the stuff in town?" They said, "Your son got it. He's the man." And so my first interaction with my biological father in nearly 10 years was me selling him 220s of Coke for a discount of $30. And then he comes back to me an hour later and says, "Son, what you just sold me here in New Jersey goes for double in Nebraska." And 2 weeks later, I was on a plane from Newark, New Jersey with 2 ounces of Coke out to Lincoln, Nebraska. So my first week I ever spent with my father was selling drugs with him in Lincoln, Nebraska at 17 years old.
So did you get caught or no?
My third trip to Nebraska, I went to New York and I got a quarter kilo of Coke, 250 grams. And I got caught in New York on my third trip to Nebraska.
While you're leaving at the airport, or you're in the car?
This was just in Harlem, Broadway, going to see my drug connection.
Got it.
Got locked up in Harlem on my way to take a train. This time, my first trip was a plane. Then I'm like, wait, that plane thing's kind of scary. This is before 9/11, so the airports weren't what we know them today. So I literally had 2 ounces of Coke in my side pocket on the plane from Newark to Nebraska. Stopped in Kansas City, went to Nebraska. My second and third trip out, I had booked a first class train ticket out to Nebraska, where I took a train out there to go hustle.
What was the profit margin? So what you had, what did you sell for in Nebraska? He said twice the price point you sell.
So
what's your margin though?
We were paying $20 for a gram of Coke in New York, in New Jersey.
Yeah.
I would sell
You're paying as a wholesaler.
As wholesale.
Not retail.
Right.
Okay.
Wholesale.
Yep.
$20 a gram. I would be able to break those down to 0.220s and make $100 off a gram in New Jersey. In Nebraska,
200.
Yep. No, 0.220, so 1 gram, I would get 5 20s and make $100. In Nebraska, those same 20s were going for 40, so I was making 200 off a gram in Nebraska. So off a $20 gram, I would make $200 profit in Nebraska.
10x. Got it.
Right. And so I was making my trips to Nebraska, but my cousin still was working my block, my strip in New Jersey. And so at 17, then I had met a friend in Baltimore, and I was sending work down there too. So at 17, I would go from New York to New Jersey to Baltimore and have it to Nebraska, and I would have a route at 17. This route landed me in prison, facing 3 years of life in prison at 17, or actually 4 days after I turned 18 on November 4th of 1998.
So you got caught at 18, not 17.
Yep, 4 days after I turned 18.
Different laws you're dealing with. So what happened then?
Went back and forth to prison. I could not, they gave me a $50,000 bail, but it had an assurity exam. I had to prove where the money came from.
50 as in 5 or 50 as in I got to pay the 50?
50 as in 50. 50 cash bail. And I had to prove where the money came from. So there was no way I could bail out. So I sat on Rikers Island, Mod 3 Upper C-74, facing 3 years of life in prison. Went back and forth to court. I pleaded down to a lesser charge, and they gave me a 1 to 3 years in prison.
How long did you stay in?
I served a year in prison.
How was that?
Interesting. It wasn't, I seen a lot. It was rough for a lot of people. God had a hand over me, which I didn't go through, but I seen a lot of people go through. But losing your freedom, not having the ability to call, like you said, call home when you want to, and when you do get that phone, what that phone call means.
$1 million, priceless.
Priceless, right? Eat what you want to. That year in jail grew me up. It helped me grow up as a man. And unfortunately, our prison system doesn't reform us. It just really was criminal school. I met new connects. I met new people that knew different tricks of drugs or how to cook up or how to do this or how to make more money. And so I just made more criminal friends while in jail.
So you get out because you end up going back in as well.
Yes.
What happened for your second time?
Second time, I went back out to the same route. Went back to Nebraska, back to Maryland. Had better connects. Same thing. I took 2 months off and right back at it.
So how'd you get caught the second time?
2 things. One, I served an undercover in New Jersey. I had a house, we call a crack house in New Jersey, and one of my cousins brought in somebody, said, hey, it's my friend right here. And I said, okay, he's your guy, he's my guy. I served him, but it was a cop. And so they didn't arrest me right then. They let me go for 9 months and then put a warrant out on me like 9 months later.
How good was the undercover guy?
He wasn't that good. My cousin was just stupid.
How about you? Could you tell?
No, he just looked like a guy. He was just a regular guy.
Would he talk to you, just relax, have conversations with you as if nothing's going on?
Yeah, he didn't really say much. My cousin did all the talking. He was just
smart
with my stupid cousin.
Got it.
Me, I would never serve anybody I didn't know. If there was anybody I didn't know, I would make them get high in front of me to make sure they weren't a cop.
Validation.
Yes.
When you went back, did your cousin go as well or no?
When I went back to jail?
Yeah. Did your cousin do time as well or no?
I don't know what happened with him.
Okay.
I'm not even sure.
Got it.
So I got arrested for that, bailed out. And the funny part is I quit 2 weeks prior to getting arrested. I'd made some money. I'm like, you know what, enough of that. I'm going to go to community college. I'm going to get a mailroom job and put a button up on, and I'm good. 2 weeks later, this secret indictment comes out from a sale that I made 9 months ago.
Wait a minute. This is second time around or this is still first time around?
This is that second time.
2 weeks later.
So when I served the undercover in January.
Yep.
They didn't arrest me right then. They didn't say he was undercover.
Yeah.
They just left. And 9 months later in September, they arrested me for that January sale as a secret indictment. So they didn't indict me until 9 months later.
Why would they like it that long? That's so
I
weird.
guess they watch you to see if they can get more sales from you or to see, whatever the case is. So at that time, I didn't do anything else. But 2 weeks prior to them arresting me in September, I had quit though. I did what I had to do. I felt I was good, and I had quit. They arrest me 2 weeks later. I bailed out. I go see an attorney. An attorney says, well, with your record from the New York charge, you're going to be looking at least 3 years in prison. So I said, shit, if I'm gonna do it 3 years, I wanna stack up some more money. And so I went back. So I'd quit, but now because this new arrest, I went back to my route. And I went down to Maryland, started hustling in Maryland, still had my Jersey thing going, and ended up catching another charge in Maryland while on bail in New Jersey and still on parole in New York.
How long you do this time?
A year and a half.
So this time you did a year and a half. Mm-hmm. So now you're out.
Right.
Okay. What happens?
I get out from that year and a half and I go right back to the same route.
Again?
Yeah.
So when did you stop?
At 25 years old.
What happened?
3 years later. At 25 years old, I was standing on the corner of 10th and Springfield Avenue in Newark, New Jersey, where I was supplying the block with dope. And I just had a self-reflection moment. It was like, all right, when I started at really hardcore at 17, when I was starting to make some money, I really thought I could be rich. I mean, I remember calculating in my math class, I was making like $3,500 a week. So I'm like, $3,500 a week times 52 weeks. All right, I can make $1 million in this amount of time. So I really thought I could succeed. Now, 3 felonies later, 2.5 years in prison later, in 7 different prisons, I'm asking myself at 25, where are you going to be when you're 30? And I couldn't picture what I used to picture in my ignorance of 17 that I'll actually make it. I only picture myself dead or in jail. And so I'm standing on the corner and I'm like, nah, you can do this. And I try to reimagine it, but I still couldn't even picture myself being successful anymore as a drug dealer. And so I said, if I can't picture my own success in this industry, in this trade, in this hustle, if I can't picture my success, then I know it's not for me. And so that day, unlike many stories, I still had product left. I gave it away. I had my trap phone, my drug phone. I broke it. And I cold turkey just quit that day. I walked away and I never went back.
Never since then?
Never
Nothing.
since then. I said I'm going to, I had got introduced to mortgages and real estate while I was on parole at 22 years old. I was on an intense supervision parole program.
22, that's what, 16 years ago? Mm-hmm. 22, 16 years ago. 16 years ago is what, '01, mortgages at its prime. It's blowing up. It's about to go crazy.
About to go crazy.
Yep.
I learned about refinancing, secure credit cards, secure loans. I learned all things I didn't know.
This is in Jersey still.
This is in Jersey.
Okay.
I walked away from it and went back to the streets, but the seed was planted and I saw that mortgages, real estate financing made sense.
Okay.
I just went back to my old ways, right? So at 25, when I quit the streets, I went back to the mortgage company, to a mentor I had, and said, I'm done. Started working with him as he was starting a new branch of Liberty State Finance. Got my first house 100% financing because I built my credit all those years. I learned about building credit at 22. Even though I was selling drugs, I still was paying my bills.
Got it.
And so I had great credit at that time. I went and got my first house, first 2-family house, owner, 100% financing. Went and got multiple properties. As I started seeing the commissions the realtors were making, I went and got my real estate license as well, even with 3 felonies.
So they gave you the license?
I got the license.
Jersey gave it to you?
I had to petition for it. I had to get character references. I had to go through hoops and hurdles to get it. They didn't just hand to me on a platter.
Get it.
But I got it.
That says a lot about Jersey, the state, that they forgave you. You know, they give you the opportunity, especially with the multiple felonies.
Yep. So at that time, I had a mortgage license, a real estate license, and owned a few properties by the time I was 26. And I just took the same ambition, the same hustle, the same grind that I had from 16 and just put it into a new industry, a new space, and did really, really well for myself in my first $1 million by 28.
In a mortgage and real estate business.
Yep.
So what happens afterwards?
After that, started owning other businesses, opening nightclubs, liquor licenses, bars, just trying my shot at entrepreneurship. The market crashed. I beat the market crash. But what I didn't do, I didn't mature mentally though. So if you would have saw me in 2007, 8, 9.
Partying, ladies running around.
All that.
Got it.
Vegas nights.
I mean, I was with the mortgage world though.
Yeah, all that. Just
Vegas was making so much money between 03 and 07. Let me see. Let's see if you remember this. What month was it when you knew Negan was gone? What month, what year? Let's see if you remember this. That, negative amortization, the pick-up payment loan. Right. The whole 4 payments where the mortgage was when. What month was it? Can you say? Because I know the month.
That it went away?
Yes. I can tell you the month when New Century, Countrywide, WAMU, they completely shut it down.
Man.
They were sitting on thousands of files, and one day all the loan officers are panicking.
I don't know what month.
It was November of 07.
I was going to say November too.
November of 07.
It got bad.
It got bad. Man, these guys who were making 400 grand a month, these are good friends of mine, they were making 400 grand a month, and all of a sudden I got word, and I'm like, oh my gosh, is it real? Yes. They're not funding NIGAM loans? No. They're no longer doing no income, no assets? No. What
No
are they
stated
asking for? No
income?
stated? No. They want full docs? You're kidding me. 90% of the files are no income, no assets stated. They're not taking. So a janitor no longer makes 200 grand a year. No, he doesn't.
Right.
So a janitor finally makes 36 again. Yes, he does. He ain't gonna get qualified for that 720 loan.
It ain't happening.
So things change fairly quickly.
For everybody.
So
yeah.
you're trying to figure yourself out. You're making money. You're in Vegas. You're partying, all that other stuff. So
Right.
what's next for you?
Blew through a lot of money, went broke, and got depressed and tried to figure out like, what the hell. Like I was depressed because I made so much money. I'd been successful since I was 17.
Yeah.
I always figured it out. And like, how did I screw it all up? Not understanding the impact of the market. Right. I'm still young. I'm still coming from where I come from. But I talked to some mentors, regrouped, regathered myself, got into some other investments using OPM. Got my real estate license again. This time I got it with Sotheby's International Realty. Started working with Sotheby's. Got a gig on NBC as a guest celebrity realtor. Called a client to play for the New York Jets, Muhammad Wilkerson. Went on to NBC as a celebrity realtor. Also came as a guest on NBC Today Show as a real estate expert and started building my brand. Wrote a book called Hip Hop to Homeowners, my first book. And started understanding what you understood with the YouTube videos. Started making videos, talking about my story, talking about all the knowledge.
This is 2009 you start making videos.
This is probably 2011.
Okay.
Probably 2011 going on to 2012.
Yeah.
Where I started, because in between that 09, 010 space, I tried everything else. Record labels, music.
Yeah.
I tried everything that I could to bounce back, right? And so in 2011, I got back into one of my mentors, Emory Jones, who was Jay-Z's partner on Rock Nation. I went to meet him. And I was like, I was trying to push my R&B artist. He's like, bro, everybody's trying to do music. He said, but when I was away, because he was in prison, and he found out about me from friends that we had in prison. Mm-hmm. He said, when I was away, I heard that you were a real estate guy. He said, I don't want you coming to me pushing music. He said, do what you do best.
Great advice.
And when he said that, I
advice.
literally snapped. I dissolved my music company.
Good for him.
Yep, and then I went into doing what I do best, and that was real estate sales, real estate financing, teaching. Well, I found that was my niche. And I started actually teaching in high schools, teaching inner city high schools about financial literacy, about credit, about real estate.
Yeah.
And I felt I had the bug and a gift for teaching and communicating and translating these financial topics to different markets. And so, just took off from there. And a few years later, started our school and J. Morrison Academy. That was in 2013.
So who's your audience right now? Tell me about your audience.
Young entrepreneurs, young real estate entrepreneurs, real estate professionals, people who are trying to figure out how to build a family legacy, the everyday person who didn't get real estate or wealth education at home, didn't get it in high school, didn't get it in college.
So audience is mainly around real estate?
I say real estate and entrepreneurs.
Okay, cool.
Know? And so again, back to you, listening to your story about the different adversity, about making that one life decision that day on the bunk with Wiggins, and deciding that, you know what, I don't want to throw my life away. I don't want to go back to where there's no hope. Those things reminded me a lot of the tough decisions I had to make on my corner. Your corner was that bunk. My corner was in Newark, New Jersey, and then those things led to me starting an empire and starting a very successful business for myself, like yourself. So I want to dive back into insurance, and you starting your company. What year was that?
October of 09.
October of 09, you started your company. And so what made you go the entrepreneurship route as opposed to just working for an insurance firm?
What made me go the entrepreneurship route? For me, I'm a very, very, very big advocate of capitalism. Very big advocate of capitalism. I grew up in a family where my mother's side were all communists. My dad's side, they were imperialists. So for me, on one side, they all believe in Karl Marx, Communist Manifesto. On the other side, they believe in, hard work, all this other thing. So I watched that a lot, and I realized I want to be able to spread that message to people that maybe don't fully understand how capitalism works. And one day I got obsessed with spreading that message, and I said, that's what's going to be our mission statement. And so the mission statement was all around free enterprise, capitalism, and entrepreneurship. And then we started, and that's what we started preaching. And next thing you know, 21, 22-year-old kids are talking about capitalism and entrepreneurship in a way you've never heard before. And so it became exciting. That message to me is something that allowed a guy like me with a 1.8 GPA to be able to get up there and compete with everybody else in the marketplace just because the free market allows someone like that to do it. Look at yourself. You're African American, okay? You are out of Jersey, okay? You grew up in a family, mom, dad, uncle, everybody sold. Selling wasn't a big deal. You got your 3 siblings outside of you. How did you make it out? You made it out because of capitalism. You made it out because entrepreneurship gave you a chance to go out there and do that. There's a lot of places, big opportunities, right?
Yep.
Stemmed from capitalism. So I guess one question, if I ask you, is what would you say? You hear the news, and I saw one of your debates where you hear the whole the African American community. I'm Middle Eastern, so believe me, I've been told every single label you can think about just because I'm from Iran. I'm a terrorist, I'm this, I'm that. I've heard all of them so many times, it's not even funny. What would you say to some brothers out there that maybe relate to where you came from? How would they be able to turn things around for themselves?
Well, I think one of the first things, it boils down to burning desire, right? It's self-accountability, but having a burning desire for you to succeed at life. If what you're doing, gangbanging, selling, going to school for 100 years, and you got master's degrees all on your wall, but you're broke as hell, whatever it is you're doing, if it's not working, if it's directly not affecting your bank account in a positive way, if it's not helping you build assets and leave a legacy for your family, do something different. And we all have the opportunity to do something different, learn the strategies, the tools that we need to be successful. But it starts with you having a burning desire and having a vision, and then following that vision with the utmost persistence.
How do you change that generationally?
It starts with one. Somebody has to break the cycle, right?
In every family.
In every family.
What you're saying. So how do you okay, so in order for this to generationally be improved, you're saying it starts with one in every family. What can the community do to help with that? What can others do to help with that?
That's a great question. I really believe it's a tragedy that our school systems don't have effective financial literacy programs.
I agree with that.
And teach entrepreneurship, right? You learn how to dissect a frog before you learn how to own a roof over your head. And so there's many clients I have, celebrity NFL clients, major radio personalities, et cetera, who think that you need 30 and 40% down to buy a house. Or I know NFL guys with 10 million cash in the bank with big contracts who own one piece of real estate. Not because of fear, because of the ignorance in owning, not just real estate, but just other assets. So when it comes to, so the point is knowledge base really changes it. As a community and as a country, if we educated more people on what wealth building looks like. See, if you come from a wealthy family, many times those things that get passed down to you on building credit, on how to leverage credit, creative financing, life insurance and insurances and how they benefit you. But if you're never taught that, if you come from a family, which are a majority of the American families, where you didn't inherit wealth or entrepreneurship or business ownership in your family or a real estate portfolio, how the hell do you learn it? Most colleges don't teach it. You don't learn it in high school, so where the hell do you get it?
But how do you help the guy that is in your family, grew up like you in your upbringing? How do you help him get out?
It's the same thing. He or she has to know that there's other options. The reason why I only sold drugs was because being who I am today. You
didn't know the alternative.
I didn't know there was an alternative.
Right.
I didn't know that even as a 3-time felon, former high school dropout with no college education, I didn't know that I could be a national influencer and manage a multi-million-dollar portfolio. I didn't know that. I didn't even know what that looks like, and where do you start with that? And so that's how you help. It's really the knowledge sparks, it's the environment. And so if the environment doesn't lend to you any other opportunity, I didn't even know I could be a realtor. Like that didn't seem like that was for me, or be a landlord. Like what's that look like?
So what's next for you?
Next for me is we are expanding our school. It's in Atlanta, and we're expanding to 10 other markets throughout the country this year. Last year, we went on a 25-city corner class tour I was telling you about, where we actually brought this message about financial literacy and real estate entrepreneurship to the street corners. And so we're going back on tour this year, where we'll be all around the country, pulling a flip chart out in the hardest hit neighborhoods of our country and teaching these concepts right where the people are at. And so we're doing that again this year. And then I'm really, really happy. We have a SEC regulated Regulation A Tier 2 crowd fund launching. The Tulsa Real Estate Fund will be launching this year as well, where we'll allow the community to be able to invest together, where each investor gets an 8% preferred return and a 50% share of the profits from acquiring real estate assets together as a crowd. And so those are some of the bigger
That's cool.
things we got
You
going on.
got some exciting projects, man.
Yeah, I'm excited about it. And what about you? What's next? I mean, I'm here in the big office and studio, and
we're growing. We're building our empire. We're building the company. We see a big opportunity right now in the business that we're in, and we're tapping into it every day. We're waking up with mixed emotions of paranoia and offense simultaneously. There's a level of paranoia, the fact that there's always someone out there that you either wants to put you out of business or wants to pass you up, and you got to be able to be as prepared for it as possible, and then at the same time play offense. We wake up in the morning playing offense like we've never played before. I see the market being wide open today. I think this is the greatest time. Whether you like the president or not, this is the greatest time to make sure you make your money the next 3 years.
yeah,
Because whoever gets elected, I like what's his name? What's the comedian's name, the tall comedian? Chappelle? Is it Chappelle? Chappelle says, when I got my first $6 million check and Obama was president, he says, that's my boy, I love him. But he says he decides to raise taxes. I said, man, can you wait 3 more years before you raise taxes so I don't have to pay the money on the $6 million? His point was that I wish I made my $6 million at a time where taxes was possibly lower, because, you know, California, you're paying 57.5. You're in Jersey, so you're up there as well in taxes. I think the next 3 years are so important for people to make a lot of money, not a little bit of money, a lot of money. And if it becomes another time taxes go lower, you got to really double down with your money the next 7 years, because 7 years from now, possibly 3 years or 7 years from now, taxes are going to the roof. We owe $20 trillion of national debt, another $67 trillion of unpaid Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security, all this stuff that's going to be collected from taxpayers. So do not be surprised if in the next 10 years, taxes goes close to 60% in some states, and some even higher than that. If it happens, you know, a lot of people are going to move to the handful of states that are doing no state taxes, which is Texas. I think it's Texas, Nevada, Florida, Tennessee, and there's one more. I don't know what the other state is. But you got to make your money next 3 to 7 years. You got to play offense.
Yeah.
It's the easiest ever to make money, but you got to capitalize right now with where the market's at. So that's what we're doing. And then as far as the social media, the YouTube side and content creation, we got a big game plan for that as well. We're looking forward to seeing what we're going to be launching here soon. But it's going to be exciting times.
Yeah, it is. It really is.
It's exciting times. How do you think the president's doing from your perspective?
I think he's doing a crappy job.
Tell me why.
He's not holding his word of, well, a lot of areas, but in being a unifier. I think that he is breaking up the country even worse by a lot of his rhetoric, and I think the constant tweets and updates I think are unpresidential.
You don't like that?
No, not the way he goes about it. I don't think he's being very tactful in what he does. But what I do appreciate about him is that I do appreciate the bluntness and the upfrontness. I'd rather someone show me exactly how they feel and what they feel is right, than to be a politician about it and feel one way but tell me something different during a press conference or a release. So I appreciate that part. But I just don't think that he's made any real progress in bringing the country together. I don't think he's done anything substantial in that regard.
Did he campaign that he's going to bring the country together?
I mean, I've heard him specifically say verbatim that he's going to be a unifier. He'd be more of a unifier than who his opponent was. I mean, I've heard him say that.
I don't think we've had a unifier as a president on the left or the right. I mean, who was a unifier on the left or the right?
Even if you weren't being intentionally a unifier, he's doing I think the opposite. He has a lot of fuel to the fire.
I don't think to this point he'll be known as a unifier president at all.
Nah.
But I don't think we've had a president that's a unifier. I mean, the only unifiers I would say were Bill Clinton and Ronald Reagan. I think those two could be unifiers. But when's the last time we had a unifier? Obama wasn't a unifier. George Bush wasn't a unifier.
Obama attempted to be a unifier.
He attempted, but I don't think we had a... So I don't think this unification thing, I think the whole purpose of why we go through these cyclical cycles of left, right, it's like the eagle's trying to fly and sometimes he can't fully stand straight, right? We got to go a little left, little right, little left, little right for us to be able to balance ourselves. it would be.
And I'm saying less politically though, not even left right. I'm more talking about the fuel that he adds towards.
Yeah, I would say
racist and white supremacist and those things. I think how he deals with those topics of race, he's being more divisive than showing any kind of real strides and being a unifier in that particular sense.
Got it. So
let alone left right. I care left right. They all say to me it's all bullshit.
Yeah, they're all pinning everybody against the same audience, hoping to get some attention.
Yeah, they're all saying what they got to say to get elected, get their check, and and do what they got to do. So I don't buy much into, what politicians do.
Both sides.
Yeah, So how do you feel he's doing?
I think it's too early to tell. I think we'll find out here pretty soon on what's going to happen in the next probably 12 months. We'll figure it out. If he comes through with some of the things that he said he's going to do, more power to him. If he doesn't, he doesn't. And we'll know based on that. But, the left needs a solid candidate to prepare. I think they are already preparing the one candidate that could beat him, 100% could beat him. If the right gets too cocky thinking he can't beat him, he can beat him.
Who's that?
They're preparing Joe Biden. Joe Biden, within a 3-day period, I think 5-day period, he was on Oprah Winfrey, Ellen DeGeneres, Colbert, everybody. And so they're already putting him in the limelight, which is kind of like the exchange principle on what he did for Obama. They're doing now with Biden. Wouldn't be surprised if he becomes the face of the Democratic Party. He's trusted. I don't think he's fully as left, obviously not as left as a Bernie is. And he's trusted a lot more than Clinton's are. And Michelle's not going to get in the mix. I think Biden's good for the mix. I don't think Elizabeth Warren's going to win the independents. It's going to be an interesting time, man. The next 3 years is going to be. If you're looking at like NBA today, you look at the NBA, what's it look like? Okay, you got the Cavs, you got Golden State, you got Boston. Brandon Hayward got injured, which is not, kind of messes up with the game because you want him to stay healthy. Derrick Rose injured. He's gone. He's not coming back. He should have never came back. He's in a tough place. And then you look at OKC trying to put Paul George, Melo, are they going to be able to mesh together? Don't know. LeBron's peaking. Golden State's playing like, lights out, but not fully lights out. Houston's coming out. It's a good time for NBA. NBA is a good time, right? NFL's taking a big hit. Viewership is down. Kaepernick, the whole commissioner with Roger Goodell, the way he's leading it. Politics is going to be very interesting the next 3 to 7 years.
Right.
It's going to be so competitive with social media. And a lot of people are going to take this play out of Trump's playbook and start doing Twitter and using their campaign as Twitter. I think everybody realized the power of social media.
Yeah.
You were seeing Trump doing 6 Facebook Lives a day. Hillary was doing 1 Facebook Live a week. And you said there's no way in the world this woman can compete with them.
Yep.
Trump's doing Facebook Live 10,000, 20,000, 50,000, 60,000, 120,000
he does
people.
a great job controlling the narrative.
And, but that's a part, though. You go back and you look at campaigns, how Lyndon Johnson won because he was an insane campaigner. You look at some of these guys on Kennedy, how he won, how Nixon won, how Clinton won. And he goes back to his 20,000 names on the Rolodex, and how Obama beat Hillary and beat McCain and then beats Romney the second time. That guy was a campaigning machine. Had no clue what he was doing. He was a one-term senator, young president, but he was a campaigning machine and he worked his tail off. There's a part of it that's that game.
Right.
And I know some of these guys that make it to the top, they have a strong work ethic. I don't think she was really willing to work as hard as some of these other guys. Forget about policies and beliefs and all that other stuff. There's a part of it that's the game. You got to work your tail off to get there.
You got to be a great politician. You got to campaign well.
You got to work. You got to shake the hands. And today, shaking the hands is a Facebook Live with 10,000 people that are in the stadium and another 100,000 people that are on social media
watching online.
It's a different game.
Yeah.
Do not be surprised if in the next 15 years we have a 36-year-old president. Don't be surprised. It's going to be cut off. Because you're not going to be 35 because timing of it. Let's just say 36, 37-year-old president.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Think about it. Let's just say you go out there and you create a following. You make a few videos. It goes viral. You connect with a community, African-American community, millennial, Gen X, Gen Y, the founders, new generation, whatever it is. and all of a sudden you got a message that resonates, and next thing you know, you got 60 million people following you at 28 years old. Happens all the time. We got it today. And then you got a voice, and people are starting to listen to you. This guy kind of makes sense. She kind of makes sense. And then you say, I'm running for office. Yep. And so then you go run for office, and you got all these followers, retweets, 180,000 retweets, 150,000 Facebook Live, Instagram Live.
More people paying attention to you.
Yes. Yep. We're going to have a very young president soon where they're going to have to change the laws very soon. It ain't going to be about policy. It's going to be changing.
It's going to be a popularity contest.
But I'm going to tell you, it is not necessarily the best thing, because the best marketer is going to win. And whoever is able to get the social media platform on their side is going to win. Same goes with business. Marketing is going to dominate in a way that it's never dominated before, especially politics, which means you can realistically get a person that becomes president who has no clue what he's doing and has zero experience in business, zero experience in politics, zero experience in any of that stuff, but phenomenal in storytelling, enough information to be dangerous, knows how to resonate, knows how to get people emotional, gets the vote. Mm-hmm. Things will change about presidency in the next 15 years.
Well, I mean, outside the business side, I mean, that's pretty much what we got with Trump. He had no political experience.
He has media experience. He has a lot of political experience. I'll tell you why he has political experience. You're right, zero. You know, but Obama was a one-term senator. It's like 4 years. What are you going to get in 4 years? You're not going to get a tremendous amount of experience in the 4 years as a senator. But I think that favors Obama, and I think that favors Trump. I actually think that favors.
People want something new. People didn't want
people want somebody that's not already bought. People want somebody that's not already, you know. The one thing about Obama was, you know, no one's hands are clean in politics. No one's. The moment you get into it, you're playing dirty. The moment you get into it, it's a dirty ball. But you know, the game is changing today tremendously. So it should be fun. Yeah. But
we're all in it. We're trying to make some money.
Yes.
Whichever way it goes.
It's exciting to see you doing well, man. It's exciting to see you building what you're building.
Great to learn more about you as well.
Yes, this has been fun. Appreciate you coming out here to the Big D, Dallas. Mm-hmm. You don't sound like you're from Dallas. You sound like you're from East Coast.
I'm from Jersey. I'm currently residing in Atlanta. That's my new home, but I am Jersey.
In Atlanta or outside of Atlanta?
In it. I'm not one of those, I'm in Atlanta, but
like
I'm
Duluth
or Gwinnett. No,
I'm ATL.
I'm in ATL, yeah. We're in ATL. We're making a lot of noise there. Got some great relationships there, and a lot of love from the city.
It's a place that's coming up.
Yeah, ATL's thriving.
Man.
On all fronts.
It's definitely thriving. It's definitely thriving. Well, brother, good to meet you, man.
Yes, sir. You too.
Appreciate you coming out. Looking forward to the next time.
Yes, sir.